Hey everyone, I'm Dan Toombs. I'm the Atlassian community lead for ACE Solent, and I'm joined by Nigel Budd, a familiar face for the chapter for sure. Welcome for a start. So we are at Team25 here in Anaheim. It is obviously Atlassian's big annual conference. We have just come out of the keynote. There's a lot to digest, as always. It seems like the pace of change is forever increasing, but we just want to do that deep dive as we always have. So, Nigel, kick us off. It's the first big one that we need to know.
Okay, so the big one is huge. Rovo, which is the AI product that Atlassian have been talking about for the last sort of year or so, was about $20 a month per user.
It was the
something like that.
Kind of
ChatGPT, yeah. And the big announcement is that it's not longer a subscription cost. Yeah. It is free. So if you have any of the paid tiers, standard, premium, enterprise, you have it. And it should be landing in the next few days.
So what I think is incredible about that immediate announcement is Atlassian's big messaging over the last year has really been about every team needs AI, right?
Of course.
But obviously the price was a gatekeeping for it, and I think it's a kind of move because the more adoption you can get, the more kind of level inroads that we can say actually it is for every team. HR are going to get benefit, your finance team,
right,
and dev teams and things. I think you're going to get so much more adoption, and then they're going to go, what else can I do with it?
Yeah, I think so. But for me, it wasn't just price. No. There was quite often organizations had existing, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot. There were other AIs, and a lot of organizations was, do we want another one?
Yes.
And it was like, we've got 3. Do we want 4? So actually, this is a bit of a game changer from the Atlassian. Again, the price has to go. We're not talking about price anymore. It's not about should we buy it.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about actually it's here. How do we make use of it? And it is an incredibly powerful tool.
Yes.
So really, I think the challenge for our customers is to make use of it, but do it in a safe way, so that they're helping their staff use it well. They've got the knowledge set out correctly.
I really liked the conversation that we heard earlier, which was about kind of that 4-step adoption process.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know?
Yeah.
Oh, now that you've used it for one of those two, let's do a bit of tinkering.
Right.
And then you become an evangelist, and then you're like, oh, now we can do entire changes of
That's
process.
right. Do some really powerful transformation automations. So we just remind everyone, there's 3 parts to Rovo. There's the search, and you can start using that straight away. Very, very powerful enterprise search. Searches across all of the Atlassian tools, your connected tools as well, so Google Docs, Slack messages, things like that, SharePoint, all those sort of things, and that is just incredibly powerful.
Just as a side note, the 50+ native connectors to literally pretty much any enterprise app is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great way of connecting knowledge. So
Atlassian becomes really that central hub for your connected ecosystem, which is powerful messaging.
We've seen that over the last, I would say, 5 years, where they've, just from a Jira perspective, they're turning it into a command center.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really nice addition, especially now with the knowledge and the stuff, where it's like, come here, connect everything, make those informed decisions.
Right.
Even though everything's kind of spread out, doing its own thing.
Absolutely.
So I thought that was a really nice bit of bunch. But Rovo wasn't just the only kind of AI automation announcement that we had. We had some quite interesting things of the agents now being used in the automation rules themselves, which is not
absolutely. Oh yeah, I love that. Yes. So let's just go back to Rovo because there's 3 parts. I wanted to just finish that. Yeah. So the search first. So if whatever you do, start using the search because it's brilliant.
Yep.
Then there's the chat, which is very much ChatGPT like. So a little bit more in depth searching, getting insights, delving and probing, acting as a virtual teammate. That's good.
They've added in that deep research.
Love that demonstrated. Yes, I can't wait to have a play with that one. Wow. Yeah, so some really powerful capabilities there. I'm suggesting our customers might need a bit more help with that one.
Yes, okay.
It's some people are naturally good at generative AI, others less so.
But is that a challenge that you're seeing because of getting the right prompts together and being that prompt engineer? Is that the challenge that you think is going to happen?
A little bit, asking how to ask the right questions to get the right response, and then do those expansion questions to adapt it and change it. When you're good at it, it really becomes part and very natural. But some people are just scared or nervous of the technology.
I remember saying to you just before we started the recording, but it's like the writer's block, that blank page.
Oh, I love that stuff.
What is the first word that I have to put?
Yeah.
I know my idea, but how do I?
It just sits there with a blinking cursor. You're like, how to? Yeah.
That's interesting.
But let's just try it out. So that's the 2 bits, and then there's the third one, which is Studio, which is the automation agents, as well as the ability to create them.
Yes.
And what did you think of those?
Well, I mean, I've always loved automation.
Big fan of automation.
Don't know how you don't
automate everything.
But I do think there's a really nice messaging. The use case that I saw, which was, hey, if you're a product manager, you're doing Zoom calls, and then you go to Confluence to do the write-up, and then you have to go to Jira to do the work. But now what they're saying is actually, okay, well, let's create a rovo agent so that you can get better, more concise knowledge from those, and it's going to automatically create or recommend action items. And then you, on the other level, you're saying, actually, okay, well, now we're going to just automate the entire thing.
Yeah.
So, and I know we'll touch on that in a minute, but Loom comes into this for the Zoom recording.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's really cool. Then you've got the automation rule, which is saying, use this rovo agent, look at the Confluence page, make all of the action items, recommendations, put them in Jira tickets, and then they're saying, go even further. And if you're a code company, start writing
the code. Absolutely, yeah.
So I love how they are genuinely thinking about business processes that would take days, and thinking, now let's cut that to minutes. And again, it's the enhancement of session. It's not perfect. God does it speed you up.
Absolutely, and because it's responsive, you can adjust things as you go. It'll check. It's got checkpoints, so you stop, wait, make sure it's correct something if you need to, move on. So it's done in a way that's safe. It doesn't just do it all in the background and suddenly it's delivered it. It's much more sensible than that, which I like.
Yeah, I do. You
want to be in control.
Yeah, and I think that's the smart messaging, which is, I'm going to do everything, but just come back to you with an approval.
Yes. Are you happy with this?
Yeah, are you happy? But I think I really like the way that they're using some of the new automation stuff. I think it's very clever. Obviously, we have to be careful. Maybe now moving more with some of the consumption-based limits with rules. But I think that there's a lot of adoption here, and I think that it's going to open up to far more teams to get automating.
Oh yeah, and there was a lot of tedious, repetitive, time-consuming jobs that they kind of started to talk about that were just flow in minutes. And that's powerful.
You talk about an ROI, which is you've got customer feedback, and I know a big fan of talking about the feedback loops and short.
Oh yeah.
So you've got feedback, and you could have a Jira ticket made within minutes with actual dedicated customer ins. That's powerful.
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
I was super excited. Lots of inbuilt automated tools already. Plus the ability using Studio to craft your own. Using natural language AI, of course.
But I like how they've combined the Studio is not just Forge apps. So Forge is the kind of the native platform for, rather than having to create an app and host everything, it's got the native infrastructure. But so you've got Forge, you've got automation, you've got agents, and they're also including assets into that mix as well. But it's, again, the Studio is, hey, let's make something that's going to help our data. And I thought that was quite a nice message.
I think it's going to be really exciting over the next, 2 years or something like that, to see just how creative our customers are identifying solutions that they can automate, and how they can use the different sorts of tools to achieve those goals.
Absolutely.
With fun times.
There's one thing we mentioned earlier, which I think we need to circle back on, which is Loom.
Yes.
Right, and I know big fans. So what was the Loom?
So Loom has been around for a while, and it's kind of sat there, in my opinion, on the edges a little bit. Some customers love it, and others we're not quite sure. And Atlassian sort of promoted it as this asynchronous meeting tool. So if you have to record something that's a one-way transfer of information, record it, send it out to your team, and then that you don't have to get them around a meeting to see it straight away. They can consume the information whenever they want. It's a bit like TikTok and modern social media. It's a very vibey with today's modern world. So that's kind of how they did it. And I think what they've changed today is by introducing Rovo Search, that ability to then deep dive and make that Rovo content something that's searchable, findable, and things like that. That for me has sort of tipped the balance, in my opinion, of how powerful this tool now is. Because there's so many times I've recorded conversations with customers, or there's a blog or something like that I'm going to get back to one day, maybe if I need it, and I can never find it again.
Yeah.
It's not somewhere useful. It's not somewhere I can search for it and find it again.
Yeah.
It's in Zoom's library or Google Meet's library or something like that.
So it always ends up on some G drive.
Right,
and
absolutely.
And it could be an hour-long recording, but you just need to know this
That's
small
it.
section.
And I can't. No, I couldn't find it, and I was probably in the recording. Let alone someone else in my team or someone else who needs to consume that information. But as that information is automatically transcribed, summarized, things like that, and searchable. Yeah. That's what a game changer. I love that.
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, it's the Loom AI for Zoom. First of all, that transcription I think is a very interesting move because now they're tackling both async and in-sync.
Yes.
I think that's a very good
it's
move.
really maturing.
Yeah, that is. But like you said, it becomes then about, from that Loom perspective of, I got a question. Oh, well, rather than you have to read a confluence page, I'll answer that because you've got the Loom transcription, or you've got the Loom section of that video that you
Yes, exactly.
So I think that's very good. I think, as you said, it's about finding information smart, because I don't want to sit there and watch an hour and record.
No, do not have time.
Yeah. So I think it's very, very clever.
And there's some deep embedding as well, which was quite subtle. They kind of showed it a little bit, but didn't delve into it. Yeah. But Jira now has little record Loom. Yep, you've seen that.
Got its own record button.
Whiteboards now as well. So it's very deeply integrated and richly embedded within the tools.
They have. I just want a side note actually on that, because the conversation that you and I and customers are having at the moment is about moving from singular products to a platform.
Yes.
And we noticed that in the keynote, because they're changing now to platform apps and speaking much more about being a single coherent thing.
Yes.
It's kind of, we've seen the little rovo in the bottom right, where that little widget is always there.
Yes, it was, an extra thing.
Yeah, and I like how you put it, which is, I know that if I click that, some magic's gonna come.
Right.
And it doesn't matter where I am.
Yeah.
I've always got the magic there to click.
Yes. And that makes it very accessible, very easy to use. And it's not like you're switching to another window or screen or have to use a chat interface. Yeah. Press button, it goes, what do you want me to help you with, sir? Yeah. And I think that's just brilliant.
I think it was very good.
Intuitive.
So the platform app, some of the things that we know, obviously the unified search is becoming its own dedicated app. It's becoming its own place. You've got Home.
Oh, I like that. What? That was some nice features introduced in Home.
Yeah, it was. It was really, the dashboarding for a start.
Yeah.
Right, going across products. Again, being where your users want to work and need to know, they're not just Jira users, they're not just Confluence users. Right. So being that whatever, I thought that was really nice. Obviously, Rovo and Chat, that's now its own dedicated area. Studio, its own dedicated area. So even though they've made this complete platform that you can kind of move around very easily between it.
And it's very in tune with mobile phones, apps, and it'll just those little buttons. Yeah. Well, so I think,
one thing they called out is the fact that you can now use the Rovo Chat within Confluence Mobile.
Yes. Love it. Can't wait to try that.
So spreading knowledge, being able to be on the go and still have everything.
Or ask questions about what's going on in work or anything.
Yeah. So I think that was really, really good. Okay.
So the other thing for Loom was the teamwork collection. Yes. So Atlassian have understood that it's, do you want to buy a bit of this or a bit of that? That's not a very good way of working as an organization. You want your teams to have a suite of tools.
Yes.
So they've introduced something called a teamwork collection, which is its own pricing model, which I hope is going to be competitive against buying the products individually. So if you've got Jira and Confluence and you are tempted to try Loom or anything like that, or add it as part of your solution, you should be able to do it very simply and easily, and hopefully very cost-effective way.
They have been, I've seen in some of the product update lists that we get access to, is they've been doing a lot of work around billing recently.
Yes.
So I think a lot of that, and it has become more seamless as a way of being able to very quickly download or install the app and kind of go from there.
Right.
So,
and if you're in procurement, it gets very complicated. If you have to buy some of these and some of these and some, you have to kind of justify why you want each one. Yeah. Whereas actually you go, here's our collaboration platform. Yeah. This is the license we're buying. And I think it's a small change that Atlassian introduced, but I think it's quite a powerful way of just making things easier for our customers.
Interesting. All right. So what's the next one that you think is a big one we need to touch on?
Focus. Okay. So a big topic. I think that we're used to running teams running teams of teams, but the sort of strategy, direction, the goals of an organization, Jira's done bits of it over the years. It's had tools like plans and goals for last year, but it's not really had a sort of comprehensive solution for managing those, visualization, and then tracking work against those goals.
Yes.
Focus is now helping you do that. It's a separate product, but it's a very powerful looking product, and it's part of their solution and strategy.
Enterprise
very much,
and that kind of leadership.
Yeah, but I think it comes down to medium-sized enterprises as well, even large businesses. Almost what we call large, medium-sized enterprises. It would suit well as well if you have those challenges, but it does scale up.
Okay, so how is Focus made up? Because I think I remember them saying it's made up effectively of 3 parts. Is that right?
Yes. So Focus is its own tool, which is the tracking to goals, and alignments, a very flexible hierarchy, and very flexible with language that you can use as well. So the idea of Focus is you use the language that you use in your organization. You're not having to try and model it around some framework that's fixed or something like that, which is very good, and I like that. So you might be using OKRs, you might use your own language or your own system. It fits around it. So that's the Focus product. Powerful, looks really good. It's a very executive tool, I think. That's one of the nice things about it. Lots of charts of, are we doing well, are we not doing well? And the clues in the name with Focus, in that it tries to give you different views of what things you should be concentrating on, what's important to you. So if you're interested in certain projects or programs of work or certain OKRs, you identify that, and then it will tell you or give you a dashboard of those things, how they're doing.
Yes, okay.
So if you're a very busy executive running lots and lots of things, it should just tell you what you need to know. This is on track, that sort of thing. There's Talent, which is a new tool that's been announced. Workflow management for knowledge workers. We're only just trying to work our way through how this fits in, but I get the idea really is about trying to manage your workforce. Do I have enough people with the right skills to do what we're trying to do?
So I think it's an interesting topic, because you and I think there might be some. I think the trouble is because it's so low that you and I we're making some stabs at what it is, but it's not like a fully fledged HRIS. It's not Workday.
They're not trying to be Workday, I don't think.
But what they're trying to be able to do is easily understand how distributed workforce are.
Right.
How skilled and where those skills are for it, to make sure that the right people are on the right job. So there is HR management in it, but it is not a HR.
No, I don't think so. No, and we have this conversation with quite a few customers where they go, I've got this many architects or this many solution people or this many field ops people. How are they being used? Have I got enough of them? And if I want to try and do more work, do I need more of these different types, or have I got capacity?
I was going to say, so are we now talking about proper capacity management?
I hope so.
HR side of capacity.
Right, yes, because there's the HR side, I guess, is the skills that they have and how proficient maybe, things like that. And you need to know that in order to do the capacity management and the matching of the needs versus the skills.
Yes.
And I say we haven't had our hands on this tool yet, so we're guessing a little bit, but it feels like it could solve some very common business problems.
I think one of the interesting example they ran through from the talent perspective was, and it related back to the OKRs, which was
it does all link together, doesn't it? Yeah.
But it was like the CIO noticed that one of their projects was off track. But 2 of their projects was the AI agent in it from the rovo side says, don't worry about that one though, because that one's going to migrate. That's already got a mitigation in place. So don't do that. Let's focus on this one that doesn't have a problem. And the recommendation is, let's look at talent. Let's look at how we can improve. And that was the recommendation put forward. But I liked how it said, you could ask the agent, say, here on the West Coast, find me 10 developers that are in this skill with over a year, and you give it the criteria and it's going to give you those. And that's how you can then say, from a capacity perspective, let's stop them doing project A and move them over here so that this gets back on track.
I know organisations who've got teams of people who do just that work. Quite labour intensive, slow jobs, just to find out where are some resources, who's free, who can help, which takes time. This tool should make that quick, rapid, brilliant, efficient.
Again, it's the suggestions, it's the power of being able to say, like, we've noticed this, do you agree, let's move that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So that's cool.
And then the third part is Align, or Jira Align, as it was once called. It's got a new, slightly different brand, but it's still that tool. So if you're doing enterprise scale, product management and product development, that's the tool for that sort of role. Okay, the three of them then to come as another collection. Collection seems to be a new term we're learning about this year.
This bundles of things.
Bundles of things, but yes, let's not use the B word.
No,
it's the collection word. Yeah, it's the strategy collection. And I think that's an interesting choice of having the three. Some organisations will want all three. Others might just want focus and talent. Some might just want focus. They've got a lot of flexibility of choice by buying the collection.
Yeah.
And I think from the understanding, you need to verify this, is that the collection cost is pretty much the same as one of the Align costs, at least for Align users. So it might be a really good way of having a lot of capabilities to use flexibly within your organisation.
I was about to say, do you think that, again, from an adoption standpoint, that as you start using one, it's very easy to transfer and start using 2, 3,
right?
On that
yes, because all three very powerful tools by the looks of them.
Yeah.
You want to kind of almost gradually roll them out, or you might just need to work out what's the highest priority for your business. Is it aligning to goals? Is it some sort of product development at scale?
Yes.
But I think it'd be interesting to see how these get adopted and how popular they turn out to be. But it's exciting, and I think for me it's Atlassian are changing the language again. You mentioned the platform talk.
Yeah.
They're now talking to CIOs, executives, strategy and planning people, not the people running the teams.
Yeah.
That's a very different audience, very different conversation.
Yes.
But again, back to that platform, they need to be talking to everybody, because everyone's on that platform using it to achieve the goals.
Yeah. But they've also, again, a lot of AI. We knew that it was going to come up, but it's
yes.
What I have loved is that they've actually said, okay, well, we know the use cases. Whether they've done all that customer research, we'll have to find out. But they dedicated agents for those use cases, pre-built, native functionality. You can install the app and use them straight away.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very powerful.
One of the things I really love about it is that Atlassian dog fooding, drinking your own champagne, whatever term you want to use, they're using these tools internally and getting a lot of value from it. Yeah. And if you're at Teams and you get a chance to talk to any of the Atlassian crew, quite a lot of them will tell you, I'm using Rovo for this, I'm getting benefits by doing this. It really is, they're believing it and they're doing it as well. Yeah. It's not just a gimmicky toy. No. They are getting good value out of it.
I do like it. I mean, from a previous life, being an admin, I think that there's some great value in some of the other agents that I saw today.
Yep.
One of them was around workflows and admin configuration.
Yes, now very nice.
To your configuration. And effectively, I saw a screenshot of it, but the idea of saying, can we add statuses to workflows? Can we look at creating custom fields? That's powerful.
Oh,
You're no longer have to rely on knowing certain levels or knowing the right things. Your configuration will advise you on what is right.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to have to be some very careful rollouts of that, because I think it could all create more technical debt.
Maybe.
Or open up that technical debt barrier. But I think it will enable admins to no longer be a bottleneck as well.
Yes.
And do more and improve teams' use.
Definitely.
So I really like that one. And speaking of admins, they did also announce some new stuff for Guard and kind of their compliance and regulatory bodies.
Right, yep.
So they got authorized for FedRAMP moderate.
Yes, very exciting.
That is
good. That's good. They got a huge round of applause.
Yeah.
Which is nice, yeah.
Especially being here.
Yeah.
But, and I know that they won't stop there. They've already announced that they want to go for FedRAMP high. Yep. So I imagine once moderate is fully out, that they'll move that needle. They've done IRAP, or looking at IRAP as well. That was mentioned. So the Australian side, that would be really, really powerful.
Very much.
There were a couple of others. I didn't quite catch the badge in time, but I was too busy looking at the screen.
The whole thing,
a couple of other up there. They also announced 3 versions of Cloud now. Yeah, so what were they?
Commercial Cloud, you're testing me now,
standard.
which is what you're used to and already running.
Yeah.
There's the government one, which is the one you just described with the FedRAMP capability. And then the third one was Isolated Cloud, which is a new product they've announced today. And it's effectively the commercial cloud, but instead of it being multi-tenant, it's a single tenant.
Yes. So and that goes kind of further than some of the functionality that you and I are already aware of, which is around like the bring your own key, which I also saw was rolling out into open beta.
Yes,
which is good. But there's things like the bring your own key
and customer generated key as well, which is nice.
So there's a lot more of good levels of security coming, but there's also just, hey, if you kind of need your own it's for those customers that are still on data center because they don't have those because they have those requirements. It kind of opens the door for those.
So there's a couple of, I think there's two use cases for the isolated cloud that, after I can tell. There's the scare that having a multi-tenant environment, there might be a data leak between them, which would be a configuration change or a bug or something like that. It's very well designed, the cloud, not to leak. But there's always a risk, right? And some people don't want that. Yeah, it's technology, yes. So if you can't bear that multi-tenant environment, isolated cloud, perfect. The other is it's got better ingress and egress controls, so you can manage the traffic coming in and out of the multi-tenanted cloud with a lot more clarity and preciseness. So if you only want it to connect to certain things, you can do, and that's increases your security a lot.
Okay.
So powerful.
Very powerful. I think what we've seen, I mean, you and I know, being in the ecosystem as long as we have, that they are removing the barriers to entry for clouds.
Of course.
It's a smart model. We know that's what's coming. But with the announcements from today, there aren't really that many new barriers that I can kind of think of.
No.
There's a lot of isolation. They've enabled things like the compliance, the data. They've got things like the data, what are they called? The labels, data classification.
Yes.
Things.
In Guard Premium.
Bring your own keys. What was Beacon, now part of Guard Premium, say, where you can now have alerts based off of certain actions. There's a lot then.
Oh yeah.
Guard's very powerful.
Yes.
So
there's gradually chipping away at the reasons, or the blockers for some companies not to move to the cloud, and I think this is a huge step forward today.
Do you think that we are going to see another wave migrations now that some of these things are out?
Yes.
I
definitely think there was a lot of announcements last year that are now being open GAs and things like that. So I think now's a good time. There's a few new products like the isolated cloud. I think some customers might wait for that now it's been announced. That's coming 2026. They didn't really say when, but I do know, because I've had certain chats with Atlassian, that there's an aggressive time scale for this, we say. They want to make sure it's right, and they want to get the beta customers on it first, but they're moving fast. And I think that's another trend that's come out of today's team, is this rapid change of innovation and lots of things moving into GA very, very quickly.
I was about as well. I mean, last year's when we did these talks, both in Vegas and then in Barcelona, which was 6 months apart. Our announcements, rovo at Vegas, 6 months later, GA. And that shows the rapid rate of change out their major conference.
Goals and focus this teams, both GA now.
Massive improvements in terms of focus, the agents available, the platform experience is improving, Loom, it's all very kind of all come out very, very quickly and very well. It's a very seamless experience.
Respect to them. It's amazing at times to watch this, and it's quite overwhelming a bit. I think that's one of the things that in some ways our customers might be challenged with. There were 1,400 changes made last year. They announced
that. First of all, 1,400 changes is mental.
Yes.
Do you now see that actually? Where do you think the next step is? When you talk to a customer and you think, oh my God, so much has changed. What's the first thing that you would advise a customer to kind of look at and kind of digest some of this information?
Oh crikey! I think the rovo one is landing. Unless you disable it, it's there. You are missing out on something that is now part of your ecosystem. And because of the power of the teamwork graph, catching the information and things like that, you're missing out on a lot, frankly. So I think the main thing to do is start trying it out gradually, See what you can do with it, experimenting, assisting your staff. And it's always been about the users, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Making them aware of some of the features.
Yeah.
You know, I still meet customers who are not aware of dashboards. You know, there are lots of features already in the tool before they added 1,400 new features that people are not aware of. So, you know, I think for my advice to any organization is, you know, have a community of practice, of specialists, fanboys, if you want, of Atlassian, that then socialize things that people might like to know. As you said before, that did you know you could do this?
Yeah.
Here's an example of a prompt that achieves this role. Just gradually introduce some tips to get people comfortable with some of the features.
Something that I spoke to you about exactly on the topic was about doing what we called at that point was Tech Tuesdays.
I love that idea.
A small 2-minute loom or a Slack message or something of like, by the way, this is just our thing. Here's an example of how it's used. Come speak to you if you want.
Yes.
So, and I think that's a really nice, healthy way of spreading awareness and knowledge.
Yeah. So. And it's very TikTok-like, and it's short, it's consumable. People can watch it when they have time.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way of doing it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you as always for the deep dive.
Thank you for asking me.
No, it's great. The trouble is that that hour and a half, 2 hours that you're saying that keynote, it is overwhelming. So being able to come away and digest them for 20, 30 minutes is good. So thank you very much as always.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.